This is 5 on your side at 10.
Tonight, our fall chill is falling into a fall freeze. Right now, it is 41 degrees in St. Louis, 38 degrees in St. Charles. It's going to be even colder when you head out the door tomorrow morning. Thank you for being with us. Good evening. I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. Just an hour ago, a freeze warning went into effect across the St. Louis region. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is live on Television Plaza tonight to tell us how cold it's going to get.
Well, Mike, we're all dropping below freezing, but hey, I'm not on the Thames Avenue overpass, so we're not talking about winter weather coming with it. Just that cold breeze tonight driving in really Arctic air for this time of year. You know, this comes our way in February, and it's a whole lot worse. Let's show you what's going on as you look at the temperatures. First spot to drop to freezing tonight down in Salem, where it's 32 degrees. Not far behind is Perryville at 33. DeSoto's 34. Chesterfield's 35. So is Litchfield right now. Mount Vernon's 39 degrees. Here's the thing, though. We have a breeze, and so wind chills in some cases already down into the 20s, and that's going to be more of a concern heading into tomorrow. Look, this freeze warning is not only just for us. It goes all the way down into northern portions of Alabama, northern portions of Georgia, and this is very unusual for them. It's about 2 weeks early for us, but everybody under that freeze warning as we head through the next 12 hours or so. And then again, tomorrow night, another hard freeze. So the coldest spots likely to be down into the Ozarks heading into the overnight hours and early tomorrow morning. Pretty much all of us are in the 20s. The growing season's going to come to an end. If you've still got some potted plants outside, you want to grab those, and don't forget to disconnect that garden hose and drain it out. You don't want that thing freezing on you, because we are going down into the 20s tonight, and it'll feel even worse. We'll talk more about wind chills in a few minutes.
For many of you, tonight is the first time you'll be firing up the furnace in months. You might smell something burning, but chances are it is nothing serious.
There's dust and things that settle on the heat exchanger, and the first time the furnace fires, it kind of is baking that dust off of the surface, and that's that smell you get.
HVAC professionals recommend changing your furnace filter for better air quality. A dirty one could shut down your system. And before firing up your fireplace, you should first inspect for signs of damage and buildup in your chimney. It's also important to replace the batteries in your carbon monoxide and smoke detectors.
Tonight, St. Louis police are investigating the discovery of human remains in North St. Louis. Bones were found buried in front of a vacant building on North 19th Street in the Hyde Park neighborhood. Police received a tip yesterday and brought out a cadaver dog. Investigators didn't find anything, but neighbors continued to dig and found the remains earlier tonight.
We believe that it's been here obviously for, some time now, but, that's the benefit of the Crime Stoppers, people calling Crime Stoppers and helping the police out if they had information that there was somebody, buried there, and maybe they just received this information. We're unsure of that.
Right now, police are investigating this as a non-criminal incident. Tonight, hundreds of flood victims in St. Clair County are breathing a big sigh of relief now that federal help is on the way.
East St. Louis was especially hit hard by this summer's historic flash floods. New tonight, our Robert Townsend talked with struggling families still trying to get their lives back in order.
After a difficult 2.5 months, Marcus Harris Pride is glad to hear federal assistance for his flood-ravaged home in East St. Louis is finally on the way.
I'm very proud of the mayor, East St. Louis, and FEMA. Everybody.
Harris Pride was brought to tears when he heard officials make the long-awaited announcement.
I feel a relief, not just for me, but for my community.
On July 26th, record-breaking rain flooded his neighborhood, left cars submerged, and caused extensive damage to his home on Terrace Drive.
Just to look around and see that my neighbors and all that going through this right here, that's a hurtful feeling, man.
More than 700 St. Clair County families' homes were damaged or destroyed by a record 9 inches of rainfall. Monday, the White House announced a formal disaster declaration to help East St. Louis and other cities hit hard by the devastating floods. Starting on Tuesday, flood victims may apply for federal relief grants.
For damages to homes, vehicles, and personal property. They can look for temporary housing and emergency home repairs.
You bet lots of folks left City Hall feeling a lot better now. They know they now have several options where they can apply for that much needed assistance.
We need more drywall, we need more insulation.
Marinita Sanders is also one of the many ready to recover, get back into her home, and start over.
I'm glad that FEMA finally have came through.
I feel much better.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Again, residents affected by the flooding can apply for federal assistance tomorrow online or in person at one of the disaster relief centers in St. Louis. And we have more information in the As Seen on TV section at KSDK.com.
Tomorrow, parents in Florissant will get their chance to voice their concerns about radioactive contamination found in the grounds of an elementary school. New independent test results reveal high radioactive lead levels in the kitchen, gym, boiler room, and playground at Jana Elementary, that's in the Hazelwood School District. The school sits near Coldwater Creek, where nuclear bomb waste from the Manhattan Project once flowed.
If we inhale some of these radioactive materials, they can actually get stored in our bodies, where they're a hazard to us for many years.
Tonight, the Army Corps of Engineers says the independent report from Boston Chemical Data Corporation is not consistent with its accepted evaluation techniques. The issue will be discussed at tomorrow night's school board meeting. Making St. Louis City streets safer for pedestrians.
Tonight, city officials shared their ideas to fix traffic concerns in problem areas like Grand Boulevard. Our Laura Barczewski was at that meeting where residents also shared their concerns. Laura.
Mike and Ann, neighbors of the North Grand Corridor shared many concerns, several of which included speeding and the stoplights that nobody stops at.
You be stopped at the red light, they go around you, they pass you going 100 miles an hour up Grand. That's not safe for nobody.
Helen Gill says she doesn't drive on Grand at night anymore because it's too dangerous, something Mayor Tashard Jones says she wants to fix, with $40 million American Rescue Plan dollars to put toward traffic calming measures and a comprehensive citywide transportation plan.
Research from the federal government has shown that traffic calming measures discourage bad behavior and keep people safer. The Institute of Traffic Engineers found proven safety countermeasures like raised intersections, medians, and traffic circles reduce speed while discouraging dangerous behavior.
Jen Wade with MoDOT says that's something they were able to do on Natural Bridge with 3 roundabouts and several other safety improvements like better crosswalks.
A feature that's put in place to move a lot of traffic. It seems like, oh, it might be annoying to go slow, but it actually reduces delays by letting people continue moving as they're making their turns.
MoDOT data shows following Natural Bridge improvements, there have been fewer crashes and the average speed has slowed down a lot closer to the speed limit.
When they did Natural Bridge the way they did, that was the best thing for me, because they was going up Natural Bridge 100 miles an hour. They killed 2 women in 1 week, you know, so the roundabouts is good for me.
Which Gill says is what they need on Grand. St. Louis police say in about a 4-month period, 69 crashes have been reported on North Grand alone, and almost half of those resulted in someone getting hurt or killed. The city did not give an exact timeline on when we might see some of these further changes on Grand. Reporting live in downtown St. Louis, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
Tonight, the website portal to apply for student loan debt relief is officially up and running. The Department of Education launched the website today. The beta site went live over the weekend. Students can apply for up to $10,000 in debt cancellation. Pell Grant recipients can apply for $20,000 in relief. Students on the Mizzou campus say this will be a huge weight lifted off their shoulders.
Having up to $10K gone would be so helpful for my family and myself, especially that I'm looking for jobs in bigger, more expensive cities. Having that $10K is just going to be a little bit worry off my back.
If you apply during the beta testing this weekend, you don't have to apply again. The deadline to apply is December 31st, and we have a link to the website in the As Seen on TV section at KSDK.com.
You've heard Social Security checks are about to get bigger. It's thanks to the biggest adjustment for cost of living in decades. But does paying recipients more now mean less for you in the future? Our Verify team has the answer. Here's Casey Decker.
Social Security recipients are getting a boost to their checks next year, an 8.7% cost of living increase. That's resurrected claims that routinely pop up on social media, like this one that says Social Security will run out of money in 12 years. So is that true or false? We brought the question to 3 expert economists who all told us it's false.
No, it is not true.
To understand why, we need to understand how Social Security is paid for. The funds come from payroll taxes, which come out of our paycheck. And for a while, those taxes brought in more than we needed. That created a surplus, which the government put in a special trust fund. But now it's flipped. The payroll taxes alone aren't enough to cover all the checks that we need to send out. So we're dipping into that trust fund to cover the difference.
It's almost like saying, imagine you have $1,000 a month of expenditures and your primary job only pays you $750 a month. And you're like, I'm short $250. Well, you've got a savings account that you've had up from your working years. So you're now taking out $250 a month to pay up that difference in your expenditures. You keep taking $250 out a month, in the next 10 years, you'll be down to zero. Then what are you going to do?
So we could wind up emptying our savings account, the trust fund, but that doesn't mean Social Security will totally run out of money. Remember, we still have the payroll taxes.
It's absolutely false to say that if we did nothing, we would not be able to pay any Social Security benefits. That's not true. But we would only be able to pay, a fraction of what we're now promising, the fraction probably being around 70 to 75%.
So we can verify, no, Social Security will not run out of money in 12 years. As long as we have the payroll tax, people will still get checks. But unless Congress takes some sort of action, those checks could be smaller than promised. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
What can we verify for you? Send an email, verify@ksdk.com.
Tonight, new details in a tragic and freak accident on I-64. A flying piece of metal leads to a woman's death. The search for where it came from. Medical claims denied. Your right to fight back against insurance companies. The easy process to avoid paying out of pocket.
That wind is biting across the bi-state area tonight. It is cold and a freeze warning in effect for all of us. The coldest night we've seen in a long time.
A funeral will be held tomorrow for a Belleville woman killed in a crash last week on I-64 in St. Louis. Police say a piece of metal crashed through 81-year-old Kathleen Bailey's windshield in the westbound lanes on the afternoon of October 11th. She then crashed into the concrete median near South Vandeventer. Police and highway safety advocates are still trying to figure out where the metal came from.
If this came off a truck, unfortunately, off a load, about securing the load, was this an infrastructure issue? So there could be, depending on really the source of the debris that unfortunately killed this woman, we'll have a better sense of some of the things that we can do to combat it in the future.
Safety advocates are encouraging drivers to stay alert, stay off the phone. This will allow drivers to better handle issues they might encounter on the road.
It's not uncommon for health insurance providers to refuse to cover a test, treatment, or medication your doctor says you need. And before you dig into savings and pay out of pocket, Consumer Reports says you have a guaranteed right to appeal, and it's not hard to do. According to a report from the Kaiser Family Foundation, about 18% of in-network claims from people insured through an Affordable Care Act plan were denied in 2020. But that doesn't mean you should immediately pay for the treatment yourself, or worse, go without care. Consumer Reports says you have the right to appeal the decision, and that goes for Medicare or private health insurance. Step 1, call your insurance company to make sure there wasn't an error with your claim.
Mistakes can and do happen at multiple points in the claim filing pre-authorization process. They can be relatively easy to fix once you identify them.
If it was not a mistake, ask to speak to the reviewer behind the decision and request an explanation. You'll need this information for your next step, filing a formal appeal, specifically stating that you disagree with the decision.
You're going to ask your doctor to write a letter to explain why the procedure is necessary and to include any documentation to help support that, like your medical records and treatment studies and any communication with the insurance company.
Doctors are used to this, so don't be afraid to ask. The next step might be the hardest, waiting. It could take 30 days or longer for an answer, but if you need the denied treatment right away,
make sure you request an expedited review.
So if you get a letter that the insurer is still denying the claim, know that both Medicare and private insurance companies are required by law to provide the reason in writing, as well as explain how to appeal the decision with an independent third party.
And if you get insurance through your employer, consider asking your company's Human Resources Department to help. If your claim was denied by Medicare, you can consider getting legal help to have your case heard before a judge.
Open enrollment is now underway for Medicare and most employer-provided health benefit plans. The Marketplace for the Affordable Care Act opens November 1st.
Tonight, we're getting our first look at the all-star lineup soccer fans will see at the concession stands at Centene Stadium. Let's talk the important stuff, food. St. Louis City SC held a tasting today. More than 25 local restaurants like Balkan Treat Box, Beast Craft Barbecue, Steve's Hot Dogs, Brasserie Burger, and Pastaria Deli and Wine will be featured. The club's chief flavor officer says he wanted to create a food map of St. Louis.
We want people eating at local establishments before, during, and after match day. It only works if we support the rest of the community around us.
More vendors will be announced in the coming months. Fan feedback is a factor on what's chosen. Centene Stadium will feature 52 places to buy food and drink. That's the most in Major League Soccer.
Well, our October deep freeze seems minor compared to what they're dealing with in Michigan. Tonight, a winter storm warning is in effect for the Upper Peninsula. Up to a foot of snow is expected to fall. People in Milwaukee also got an early preview of winter. They woke up this morning to a dusting of snow and temperatures in the 20s. The city could see more snow overnight.
No snow here, but it is going to be cold enough. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell's live tonight on Television Plaza. This is 2 weeks early, right, Scott?
Yeah, at least 2 weeks early, maybe 3. You know, usually we get our freeze right about Halloween. So we're running definitely ahead of that. But tonight, temperatures are going down in some cases close to 20 degrees, especially west and southwest of St. Louis. And it's really early for that kind of cold. Let's show you what's going on here as we look at temperatures right now. You're looking at readings that are in the 30s for most areas. Over in Cahokia, it's still 40, but 39 even in Forest Park. O'Fallon, Missouri is 34 degrees right now, and there's no shortage of cold air across the middle part of the country. It stretches back up into Iowa, and as you heard, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and even into Michigan. We have a few cold mornings ahead here. Tomorrow morning, heading out the door, the kiddos at the bus stop, it'll be around 30 degrees, but with the wind chill 23. Now that's in town. Outlying areas likely to be even colder. On Wednesday morning, the actual air temperature is a little bit colder, but the wind chill's not as dramatic because the winds will slacken a bit. And then we'll turn the page as we head towards Thursday, and temperatures will moderate by Thursday afternoon. Right now, Lambert's at 40 degrees. You have the northwest wind at 9. Look how dry the air is. Dew Point is just 18 degrees right now. We did make it to 50 for the high today, and we may slip below 37 before the night is done. Going to be close. So what's going on? Well, you've got your big system spinning around the Great Lakes. That prompted some stronger storms today across parts of Virginia, down into portions of North Carolina. That's moving offshore, but now the cold air is spreading in, not only for us, but into the deep south too. Northern portions of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia also under freeze warnings, just like we are. So as you look at what we're dealing with here, looking live out at Lambert right now, there's a hard freeze on the way overnight. We're dropping back into the 20. The gusty wind will add to that chill right through the day tomorrow. The wind's going to be pretty gusty again tomorrow afternoon, but it will be much warmer this weekend. So how about those wind chills tomorrow morning? Look at this. Teens and lower 20s for a lot of us around 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Hats and gloves for the kiddos. We warm back close to 50, but that wind again could gust to near 30 miles per hour. We have another hard freeze on the way for Wednesday morning as we once again drop back into the 20s. But here's the good news. For the upcoming weekend, boom, we're right back close to 80 degrees for the high. In fact, Saturday should be the brighter of the 2 days, and with a little extra sunshine into the mix, and then the fact that the breeze will be picking up on Sunday. We're thinking the leaf peeping probably better on Saturday. And we are seeing a lot of colors. And of course, with the wind we've had the last several days, yesterday and again today, that we'll have tomorrow, we're watching a lot of those leaves fly off the trees. So you better enjoy the color while it's around.
And then almost 80 on Saturday.
Oh, gorgeous
It's
weekend
crazy.
ahead.
All right, Scott, thank you. Sports with Frank is next.
Well, Mike, I am going to show you the most beautiful golf swing in the history of the world. 2 Cardinals are up for a really cool honor, and we're playing hit and run with Andy Van Slyke. No hiding it, the Cardinals had a brutal ending to the season. Today, MLB made an announcement that may make you feel worse or better, I don't know. They announced the 8 finalists for the Hank Aaron Award. This is for the best offensive player in the league, and 2 of them were Cardinals, Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt. Kind of cool, but you can't win a playoff game. The baseball game tonight was rained out. The football game wasn't in Los Angeles, in Stan Stadium. Chargers and Broncos, biggest question in the NFL, whatever happened to Russell Wilson? Well, he's just fine here. A 39-yarder, touchdown to Greg Dulcich. Denver led it 10-0. Now, final 4 minutes, Dustin Hopkins of the Chargers on for a game-tying field goal. He has an injured right leg, and he actually made it, but he falls down in pain. I don't know how he's kicking tonight. The game is tied at 16 right now in overtime. So the last time Illinois football was ranked in the top 25, Ann Allred was likely in high school, Mike Bush was a sportscaster, and Scott Connell was working mornings. Illinois moved up to 18th in the Associated Press poll. Saturday's win over Minnesota was really significant in a lot of ways. It made the Illini bowl eligible. It moved them into first place in the Big Ten West Division, and it gave Brett Bielema's team their first wins over Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota in the same season for the first time since 1983. That's a milestone that the coach wants to reward.
I told the crew that I'm going to give them a game ball. What I didn't tell them is I was going to hold it till after this week, right? Because I wanted to be able to put on that game ball that you beat Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota. I'm going to put it all in one big ball, right, that they can have for the rest of their lives because they're doing some things that nobody else has ever done. I appreciate the question. I know there's a Big Ten West chase, but our guys don't really talk about that.
Years old, I would give up my car to have that kind of tempo on my golf swing right now. A lot of baseball players were envious of the skills of this 5-time Gold Glover behind me. He grew up in the Cardinal organization and became a star when he was traded to the Pirates. But Andy Van Slyke made St. Louis his permanent home. And this week, I made him appear on Hit and Run. If you were starting a franchise in baseball history, you can take one position player, who would it be?
I would probably pick Ricky Henderson.
If you could take one pitcher in baseball history, who would it be?
Greg Maddux.
Word association, Whitey Herzog.
Brilliance.
Tony La Russa.
That's a loaded question, Frank. We're going to have to cut the tape on that one. Creative.
Leland, Jim Leland.
Consistent.
Barry Bonds.
Awesome.
Albert Pujols.
Better than awesome.
You're commissioner, you can change one thing about baseball nowadays. What would it be?
Reinstate that you can break up a double play and knock the catcher back into the dugout if you have the ability to do it.
Whose baseball ability, and you're about as athletic as anybody, but whose baseball ability were you ever jealous of when you were playing? Or I'd like to be him for a day.
Ozzie Smith, because I've always wanted to do a backflip.
What you would have done if there wasn't a thing called baseball in this world?
I'd be sitting in your chair and I'd be asking you questions.
I think he'd be good at it.
Yeah,
in fact,
he would.
Maybe we should have him in for a night just to do the 10 o'clock sports. He did weather one time in Pittsburgh, by the way. He was pretty good.
He would definitely be good. All right, Frank, thanks.
Taking photos on your phone is out. How Americans are redeveloping their love of film.
Well, we all know it's so easy these days just to snap a photo with your phone, but now millennials and Gen Zers are apparently going old school. Sales of film have recently tripled, and demand for vintage cameras is skyrocketing. The hashtag #FilmIsNotDead is trending now on TikTok and Instagram.
See, give everything a generation. The Budweiser Brewhouse at Ballpark Village will get decked out in tinsel and twinkling lights for the holidays. Tinsel Tavern will feature holiday-inspired cocktails, treats, and activities. It will be open November 25th through January 1st, and you can start making reservations on the Ballpark Village website later this month.
And Anheuser-Busch has released a new Thanksgiving brew for man's best friend. This is a non-alcoholic dog brew. A dog brew made of turkey, sweet potato, basil, peppermint, turmeric, and ginger. 4 packs cost $15, and they're available on AB's Shop Beer Gear website. Who knew that dogs wanted brew?
Well, somebody under the influence of tryptophan is going to drink those. A human.
Yeah, you're probably
For
right.
sure.
And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Guest tonight, Blake Shelton and Gigi Hadid. Start your day with Today in St. Louis.